This device is the Ovilus X. It's made by a company called Digital Dowsing, and I use this on all of my investigations. This is an older version. They have since come out with several more new, improved, etc. But this is the one I've been using, and it generates a lot of seemingly random words. Their significance is really hard to pinpoint most of the time. Don't know whether it really applies to the investigation. It purportedly generates words using the ambient energy drawn from a 2,000 word list that's internal to the device. Again, most of what you're going to hear when you use one of these, it's going to be hard to determine how each individual word actually applies to the investigation you're doing. However, on this particular one, the first evening, I did get several words, and at about 4:50 p.m. the first evening of the investigation, it said the word Paul. About 20 minutes later, Paul entered the building. That was the last word emitted by this device during this investigation, as from that point on it was, for whatever reason, totally non-functional. This device detects and measures magnetic fields. It's often said that ghosts emit a magnetic field, and that when they approach one of these devices, the reading on the gauge will change, and if they get close enough and the magnetic field is strong enough, the red light indicator will flash at a rate comparable to the magnetic field strength. I deployed 4 of these during this investigation and got no responses on any of them. Flashlights, such as these small mag lights, are often used by investigators in an attempt to solicit responses from disembodied spirits. We deployed these 2 flashlights for this investigation. When not attempting to directly interact with the spirits, they seem to be experimenting with the flashlights on their own, learning how to manipulate them, causing them to illuminate at different levels of brightness. This occurs at all times of day and night. On all but one of my investigations, I've been able to elicit some kind of response from the spirits using the flashlights. This is a spook ball, or a spook sphere if you prefer. Spook balls are spherical, like a ball. This is a bug. This is another bug. The difference between bugs and spook balls is pretty obvious. They usually just pass on by, flying very smoothly and gracefully. Sometimes they like to dance. with a partner. Some hide behind the furniture. This one's finished in the restroom. Hope he washed his hands. Some escape from the holding cell. Some flash very rapidly. Others flash more slowly. Some go right behind your back. Others come right up to the camera. Some come right up to the camera behind your back. Others are camera shy. Occasionally, one just wants to go hide in the corner. These two make a lovely couple. Then there's the occasional gang of rambunctious revelers. But at closing time, they all head for the door. Buildings settle as they age, no matter how old they are. This building, made mostly of stone and brick, is well over 100 years old. The noises that you're hearing now are just a sample of what goes on when the building is empty. The following clips are samples of multiple noises within a few seconds of each other. This next series of sounds reminds me of a particular activity. And then there's this. I've found that for whatever reason, spook balls are drawn to this crystal. So I set it out in front of a camera just to see what would transpire. Not sure what this flash of light is, but spook balls appear instantly afterwards. I redeployed the crystal into the liquor storage closet, and as you can see, the spook balls found it pretty quickly.
I have a crystal hanging right there. I want them to try to swing it.
Oh.
Well, it didn't swing it, but spook ball did go past it after you asked it to swing it.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. All right. You go back over there and take a run at that crystal, if you don't mind, in the liquor closet, the holding cell.
For the next 3 days, my friends made many attempts to try to swing the crystal. Right up until the very end.
You want to take one last swing at the crystal hanging in the liquor closet here. I'll give you a minute to do that. All right. Go ahead and take this camera out. Anybody else here with me?
Okay, this is an audio file I extracted from one of the DVRs. I believe it's around 4 o'clock on Wednesday morning. I hear what sounds like conversation in the background, but nothing is really very discernible. Now, this file has had noise reduction applied to it to some degree. Now we're coming up on a section in a few seconds where there seems to be 3 syllables that are a little more discernible right about now. And I have extracted that and enhanced it a little bit more. Applied more noise reduction as well as amplified it a little bit. And I'll show you that in a minute. But you'll notice there's these pops occurring occasionally throughout this file, like right there. And there. And coming up, this is a very interesting sound. Tell me what you think it sounds like. Okay, I think it sounded like somebody striking a cue ball into another ball on the pool table. I'll play that part again. Okay, now I'm going to play the small section down below here that I extracted and enhanced. Okay, I'm going to play those 3 syllables. Now, I think I know what it's saying, but I don't want to say it because I want you to listen for yourself and let me know what you think it's saying. Dozens of other words and phrases jumped out at me during my review, most of which were hopelessly obscured by the background noise. A few, though buried deep in the ambience, I was able to bring close to the surface. Who, me? There's some disagreement. A challenging voice calls out a name. Well, now I've heard everything. Attempting to enhance what I initially detected as a single word or syllable, I was drawn into a 2-minute clip in which, the more I reduced background noise and enhanced the voice, I wound up with a non-stop string of names, phrases, and sentences, fragments of conversations, including many different voices and subjects. After many hours of repeated listening, I transcribed what I believe each phrase contains. Different conversations, different voices. And so on and so on. At this point, I realized that this string of conversation could go on forever. So I decided to move on. So spookballs speak English.
Flashlight on the corner of the pool table. Got these two flashlights up here on the bar.
When I first deployed the flashlights, I spoke with the spooks to familiarize them with how they worked. They didn't take long to become familiar with their operation.
Hello. Yeah, so you turn the light back on. When I count to 5, will you turn it off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you.
As with most endeavors, practice makes perfect.
Hey, thank you for having that flashlight on again for me. Can you turn it off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe not. Can you turn it off on the count of 3? 1, 2. That's close enough. You turn the flashlight on in here?
However, after setting the flashlights in separate rooms, there was confusion between the detectives and the others concerning which one we were looking at.
Turn the flashlight on in here? In the storeroom?
And this confusion continued on for most of the investigation.
In a little while, a young lady's going to come in here, and you might have a tendency to want to leave, but what I would prefer is if you would stick around and talk to her. She means no harm. She's a very nice woman, and I think you'll enjoy speaking with her. Now, she's probably going to ask a lot of questions, and if you answer, she may not hear you, but I'm hoping that we will hear your responses on one of our recorders. So she may not be able to interact with you directly. She may not be able to respond to your response, but if you'll go ahead and respond as truthfully and as detailed as possible, I would really appreciate that. Melissa's going to be here in about a half an hour.
Notice I said Melissa and not Mo. In a few seconds, something very interesting happens. The flashlight on the pool table lights up, as soon as Mo enters the dining room. It remains on for several seconds.
Yeah, I mean, we can turn the lights on. Put in the flashlight. Hey, can you turn it off now? Can you turn the flashlight off for me? 3, 2, 1, off.
As the detective prepares her voice recorder for the interview, the flashlights begin illuminating at random, possibly practicing for when the recording session starts.
Okay, you can feel these buttons, this one right here, that's the record button, push that, you just push it on, and actually start recording, it's the one in the middle, chances are, you can just leave it.
Hello, I'm Melissa. My friends call me Mo. You may call me Mo. This is Tracy. We are here at the Burton Roadhouse. It is Monday, October 7th, 2019, about 7 p.m. Thank you for letting us be here with you. We're here. We're going to do some recording, wanting to find out who's here with us. We don't mean any harm. We're here purely as a favor of Melissa Russell, who owns the Burton Roadhouse. We mean no disrespect. Is anyone here with us tonight? Thank you. Thank you for letting us know that. Would you be willing to also let us know by making a sound? Maybe a knock or a tap? Are you here alone? Do you live here? Are you from Burton, Texas, originally? Are you happy to be here? Are you sad? Are you here alone? What is your name? Are you male or female? Why are you here? How old are you? What year were you born? I just heard a knock, and I'm not sure if this is you or just the building, so I'm going to make a note about it. If it was you making the sound, would you mind making another sound now, please? That's okay. Are you frightened? We are not here to frighten you. Do you have friends here in Burton with you? The sound you're hearing is the gentleman who's mowing and taking care of the lawn around here. Right now he's blowing off the patio. It's nothing to be afraid of. Do you play music? Do you play a musical instrument? Do you like to play billiards or pool? Can you let us know again by turning the flashlight on, please? Don't be afraid of that sound, please. Thank you. Would you like to sit down with me? If so, flash the flashlight 2 times, please. Okay, I'm going to take that as a yes. And I'm going to sit right here at table 41. Can you show me that you are here with a sign of some kind, please? You're here. What is your name? Do you like to write? Did you like to read? Do you stay here in this building only? If you venture out, do you go to the Burton Cotton Gin? Or maybe the Nettle House? Is there anything you would like to say or do to show us again that you're here with us tonight? Have you ever bartended? Okay. Well, I think I'm out of questions. And again, I thank you so much for your time and your understanding and your kindness.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
After the interview, Melissa and I went out to dinner. When she brought me back to drop me off, the flashlight on the pool table came on. And as she drove away, the flashlight goes off.
Hey, did you guys, anybody here enjoy talking to Melissa a while ago? Cool. You can turn it off now. 3, 2, 1, off. Say again. Let us hear your voice.
Eventually, they became a little bored with the whole flashlight thing, perhaps even annoyed.
Yeah, after Melissa gets here, or Mo, as many people call her, after she gets here, we're going to converse a bit. We're going to reach out, as people like to say, to anybody that's here that we can't see. And after we spend some time here with you, then we're going to go to JW Steakhouse and have dinner. Y'all are welcome to come with us.
Can you tell us if you're here alone? Are you related to Fawn? Were you born in Burton, Texas?
You familiar with the Cotton Gin here?
There's that little store that they might have some hardware.
Can you knock for us like this? Knock twice. That was only once. Can you knock twice?
Please?
How about them Burton Panthers? They're playing some good ball this year. I'm going to step away, but feel free to converse. Anything you say. Okay. Say that again.
My final request for a flashlight response was met with total and complete indifference.
You can turn the flashlight on the whole day. That'll be good.
You better run.
All right. Go ahead and take this camera out.
These days, I tend to think out loud most of the time. And I guess for that, my new friends have decided to start mocking me.
And now this one. Marshall back. Straight.
I bought the building in March or April of 2016. My late husband, Steve. When we walked in it, we fell in love with it. And we were just drawn to it. It was just a beautiful place, and we knew we could make something beautiful. And the building that we're sitting in now is the H. Knittel building, which is Fawn's great-great-great-grandfather built this building. He was one of the founding fathers of Burton.
And then Herman Jr., whose one of his kids were Ernst. And then from there is where we worked down to Arnie, to Court, to Fawn Knittel. This is Herman Sr. This is his original photo from the Civil War. He built this place, he built that place, postmaster, state senator. I have his coins that he used to make to give to his people. He made his own coins, he paid them in those coins, and they could only spend it in his store.
And it was a mercantile.
It says Burton's first and only state bank from 1906 until 1965. Built in 1906 as a one-story brick building. From the 1980s to 2011, this building also housed Burton City Hall and Police Department.
Burton was a very booming town at one point. We had the railroad running through.
This mercantile just happened to be across from the railroad. So you get off the railroad, it's the first place you see. Stagecoaches met out here, so when everyone got off the train, they would come in here, purchase everything they need, then get in the stagecoaches and go.
On June 30th, my husband Steve was not feeling very well, and we found out he had cancer. And there wasn't a lot of hope. And for a while, we talked about not doing our project, not building the dream. We decided to go ahead and continue this. Steve wanted to see it, and his motto was, I have to plan on living, not on dying. And we opened on September 9th of 2016, and it was a crazy time in all of our lives, but we managed to do it. That's so weird.
What's Tambler mean?
You sure it's not Rambler?
I was thinking gambler,
Gambler.
because that's all they did back there was
What's
gamble.
gamble?
They gambled everywhere. Cards, dominoes,
Yeah.
dice. And they were all just assholes to each other, so half that conversation all makes sense. All a bunch of dudes just hanging out here drinking and talking shit all day.
Playing pool and gambling.
Oh, I think gunfights in general are pretty common. There was one out front, and a man was shot pretty bad, but they brought him into the building to try to help him, and he passed away in the building.
It was a little odd when they were talking about burying the body, though.
Yeah, but the guy was shot outside. They brought the body inside, and he died in here.
Sure, there was somebody that died.
And what do you talk about back then? Talk about how you're gonna get rid of this body.
How about them Burton Panthers? They're playing some good ball this year.
And then there's this.
It was a wild little town, Burton.
I could not imagine living back then.
There's many reasons why I don't know that I would have survived it back then. We wouldn't have known better, so we probably would have, but thinking now, we definitely don't want to take a time machine.
I still think it'd be cool to see.
Yeah. And maybe when you die, you can kind of go through space and time, which would be fantastic.
When I fell off that stool and I tore my ACL, and when I did that, I blacked out. And during that blackout, the best way I can describe it is I was time traveling. It was very zippy, like wormhole. I can still see it. It was wormholey, and I would be in like one era, and then I would watch something happen, and then I'd zip real quick to another one. And that happened for I don't know how long until I came to.
When we suspected that we had a ghost, we would see, hear sounds and see different things that you could feel, like a sense of a presence, but not in a bad way, in a very good way. Otherwise, I would not have been up here by myself. But I spent many times in here locked in by myself and, projecting our dream out there and just getting the feel of the sense and the feel of the presence that exist in the comfort of the building. Like the sound of doors closing, I think sometimes, and I would think, oh, it had to have been something else.
Who is Morgan?
Here, someone here?
I guess for my part, um, I would just want to know if it was, if there's anyone from my family still here.
Anybody at all here with me?
Are you related to Fawn?
What was that? Can you repeat that over close to one of the cameras?
When we suspected there were spirits here, we would talk to Grandpa Kniddle.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would say, oh, that might be Steve. Steve passed away on January 3rd of 2017. I obviously want to know if Steve is hanging out, because that would be incredible. If you're here, Steve, that would be really, really incredible to know that.
What is your name?
Steve was one of the best people you would ever meet, one of the kindest, most gentlest people.
After returning the Ovilus X to full functionality, I connected it to my PC, and I asked this question: do you know who owns the Burton Roadhouse? These two words were among the responses.
No, I want to cry. That's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Loving. First of all, I love our building. I mean, I love it. I call it our building because Fawn is just part of who we all are. She has a connection, so I always say our building and our business because I feel it is ours, and it's just the most beautiful building in Burton, maybe Washington County, but that's my opinion, of course. But I think it is just a very unique, a unique place. I think it's filled with a lot of history and a lot of things happened in here, the good and the bad, and it, it's always held a very unique place in my heart. And I'm glad we purchased it. I'm glad that we bought it when we did. I think it was not just a sound investment, but it will always be part of my spirit. You know, there'll be a piece of me that's always here. It is such a unique place throughout the history of the building. I'm not going to open it up as is. For several reasons. One of those reasons, we just don't really know what's going to be happening with the pandemic, if it's going to continue, if it's going to end, if it's going to get worse, if it's going to get better. The shutdown in startups, every time you do a shutdown in startups, for business it costs me money. As you know, with my soon to be expired beer, it costs a lot of money to do that. I mean, I'm going to lose a lot of money. Our kitchen person is dropping out, and her lease expires, and I don't think she's coming back. Yeah, it's good. The music, I'm going to miss that the most. I think the music is what I loved. It created such a great atmosphere in here. And like I said, the community, the people gathering, that was just, sometimes we would sit back and we'd just smile. Friday night football game would be like a ghost town in here.